we are live. Welcome, welcome, my dear members of Unlimited Money Club. This particular 30-minute free taster class, I'm doing it specifically for the Unlimited Money Club members alone. So thank you so much for all of you on the Zoom call. I see there are so many of you that I kind of know the names, so welcome back. I really missed the Unlimited Money Club this past 1 week, so I get to be with you all once again. So thank you all for showing up. And those of you who are watching live on Facebook as well, welcome back. Those of you watching on YouTube, if you're not yet an Unlimited Money Club member, you can join the free Facebook group. It's just a free Facebook group. You can join there and you get to have all of these gifts that I'm giving there. All right, so today we are on 3 tools to overcome your fear of judgments. So what this is actually tomorrow I'm doing this 3-hour book facilitation of Choosing Happiness book. And it's a beautiful book written by Rudrani. And I did this kind of 3-hour class on, I think it was Jan, the start of this year. And then it came up again that this topic needs to be dived in once again. So that's how I chose this book. So tomorrow we have a 3-hour class, a full book facilitation of this particular book. So today is just a free taster, 30-minute taster of what's going to happen tomorrow. And today specifically, I was asking, what is it that is stopping us from being happy in our lives? So I was asking this to myself. So for example, let's say 6 months prior, I was not as much as happy as I am at this time in my life. So I asked myself, all right, what is it that increased my level of happiness? And one of the first answers I got was, I feel like at this time, at this specific moment in my life, I am doing exactly what I feel as is my purpose of life. Every day when I go back to sleep, I have this sense of accomplishment, sense of satisfaction. So I was asking again, okay, what is giving me that sense of satisfaction? And it was, I get to use my gifts, talents, abilities that I personally possess. I get to gift it to the world. And feels like, for me, it's just my point of view, for me, I feel like my happiness depends on how good or how I am able to gift my abilities and skills to the world. So 6 months prior, I was not. So today, for example, I have the 0 Point School, which is one of my missions in life that I had been kind of involved in. I'm recently, last week, I launched the Money Consciousness Facilitators program, and that feels like one of my, dream come true. And the 0 Point Healing platform, and there are 2 other projects that I'm doing. So all of this gives me that sense of satisfaction. It gives me that happiness. So now then I asked, all right, 6 months prior, what is it in me that stopped me from doing what I am doing now? And this fear of judgments was one of those major, major blocks that I had to overcome in order for me to use my abilities, my talents, my gifts, and just put it out into the world. That's how this whole topic of fear of judgments came up, and I just put it out into the world, and all of you have chosen, I hope, because right now you might be at a point where I was 6 months prior, right? You might be facing these judgments from around the world, which is stopping you from using your gifts, abilities, and talents and putting it out into the world. So that's the short drive that we are going to go through today. So then let's begin with fear of judgments. What is fear of judgments? And this was a beautiful image that I got. And when I look at myself 6 months prior, I was this person sitting and saying, no, I just don't want to hear what people are telling about me. And that was the person that I was. And what made me, come out of that and today be, the person that I wanted to be, So that's what I call the overcoming of the sphere of judgments. So now if you look at all of those leaders, politicians, or actor, actresses who are all, let's call it, we tell that they are successful, right? So some of the images that I got are these beautiful people, let's say Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Tony Robbins or any of these people, public speakers, or politicians or actor, actresses who are putting themselves in front of billions of people. What's in them that they are able to put themselves out into the world in front of billions of people? And how is it that they overcome their fear of judgments, right? Anybody who is in front of millions and billions of people, unless they overcome this fear of judgments, they cannot be there. If you take up the newspapers, if you look at social media, wherever you go, people who are known by millions of people are also judged by millions of people. There is such horrible judgments that I've heard about all of these big leaders, whatever the world is talking about them. Oh, Bill Gates is the reason for COVID, or whatever. The politicians especially are being judged every day by everyone. How is it that I feel, once upon a time I was like, oh my goodness, what happens if they see this news? How are they even taking it in? How are they able to live? If it was me, I see myself in a newspaper that people are talking about me, that, oh, she is the reason for whatever else, I would have chosen to be dead. And I'm like, how is it that they keep themselves alive even after looking at the kind of judgments that is going around in social media and newspapers and all of that? Okay, so all of that is overcoming our fear of judgments. So, with that, let's move on. So now we need the tools that we can use to overcome. So let's straight go into those three tools I want to share. All of this is coming from the book Choosing Happiness, all of these tools. So the first one that Rudrani Devi, who is the author of this book, talks about is everything is just an interesting point of view. So what is that? If you didn't have a point of view about anything in your life, what would your life be like? If you didn't place significance on how you think things should be or look like, what could that possibly create for you? What if we were more like dogs and cats about our points of view? Okay, now let's go back into the fear of judgments concept. The world is looking at me and telling, oh, she's a horrible person, she is, her teachings are, not good, whatever those words are. If that's what people around me are talking about me and I get to hear that, how do I face it? And that's where this interesting point of view comes from. It's their point of view. When somebody tells me, Vishnu, your teachings are horrible, I just hate to attend your class, what is it? On the other hand, let's say another person comes into my world and says, Vishnu, I love your classes, your teaching are amazing. So, what's the difference between these two? I'm the same person. It's not that I'm teaching this person differently from that person. I'm the same person. My teachings are same. But one person says that it's horrible. The other person says that she or he loves it. So that has nothing to do with me. The one person who loves it, another person who hates it, both of it doesn't have anything to do with me. It's their point of view. One person's point of view is that it's horrible, one person's point of view that it is amazing. It's their point of view, it has nothing to do with me. I get to be and do whatever I want to do. Different people will have different points of view. So, for me as a person, I need to learn to receive it and let it go. So, it's not even receive is the word, I think the word is allowance. So, how do I be in allowance of both of these comments? I'll go into one specific aspect very soon. For now, let's just focus into interesting point of view. Interesting point of view that this person has the point of view that it's horrible. Interesting point of view that this person has the point of view that it is amazing. Both are their points of view, has nothing to do with what I'm giving to the world. Coming back, so Rudrani speaks and says, when a pet gets hurt, do you think they have a point of view about it? But how many people do you know continuously live from a moment in their life when they got hurt or sick and identify with their point of view about what happened to the point that they can't seem to move beyond? Now, this is going back to there might be different times in your life where you got hurt by someone with their points of view or with their judgments. In my case, about 2 years before, the first person in my life who actually had a judgment about me, which I was not willing to accept or receive, was my father in law. So, from the very young age, I had been this girl who was, the topper in all classes and, always successful, always the top, always, being loved by everybody around me. That was the person I was. And suddenly, I got married. And for the first time, I had to receive a negative judgment from somebody. And my father in law was accusing me, for example, that, I'm not spending money in this family, I'm giving money to my family, that, and this, and this, and that. It broke my head apart because that's the first time I'm receiving a negative judgment about me. I didn't know how to handle it. I yelled, I screamed, I broke my head. I had nothing, all of this access consciousness, healing stuff. I was not in this world yet. So at that time, I cried for days and days and days, at least weeks. And finally, I just yelled at him in front of the family, 10 people watching. I yelled at him at the top of my voice. And after that, for the next 1 year, 1.5 years, I never spoke with him. That was the person I was. That's how much reaction, resistance I had to receiving judgments. So, what made me go from that person whom I was, who couldn't receive any judgments, to today, I don't care what anybody talks about me. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll go on to the next step and I'll kind of give you more examples on that. So, the clearing tool. So, with access consciousness, of course, this book itself is access consciousness based book. And clearing tool. So, Rudrani says the clearing statement from the access consciousness was designed to bypass the logical thinking mind and would bring up stuck energy. So now we are talking about, first of all, I have to use the tools to release these stuck energies. That is kind of, so in my case, for example, I had this event that happened 2 years back, for which I had so much of emotional trauma and I had so many drama that was going inside me. I couldn't even face him for more than a year. So now, how do I first of all heal those emotional traumas that I might have had in your experience as well? You might have had times in your life where you had to face that kind of judgments. You might have gone into that kind of trauma stuff. So the first is about releasing these energies out, and that's where the clearing statement of access consciousness helps us. So what the author talks about here is that when you ask questions, when you use the clearing statement, it's like pulling yourself apart and taking those energies out from you and throwing it out. So, this would bring up stuck energies that had been keeping us unconscious. The purpose of the question, so when we use the clearing statement of access consciousness, we start with a question. We ask a question, okay, what in me is not allowing me to receive judgments from others? That's a question. I repeat, what in me is not allowing me to receive judgments, to allow others' judgments? Everything in me that doesn't allow me to allow judgments, I destroy and uncreate. So that's a sample question, and that's a sample clearing. So the purpose of the question was to bring up, when I ask a question, it brings up those energies of limitation and judgment as possible about whatever point of view I might have and I wanted to clear, and then blast it out of the existence with the clearing statement. And then comes the clearing statement, which goes right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So I'm not going into details of that statement for now. If you would like to get a full explanation of that, you can go to theclearingstatement.com or you can go to accessconsciousness.com. Anyways, coming back, when I use that statement, it helps me let go of all of these judgments. It's clearing up the energies. So putting the clearing statement together with the tool interesting point of view. So that is the tool, first tool, which is when I receive that kind of judgments, I say interesting point of view. They have that point of view. Interesting point of view. He has that point of view. Interesting point of view. She has that point of view. And can very quickly not only get you out of judgment, but also it will put you in a place of total freedom and happiness. So she recommends to use clearing statement after the interesting point of view. Interesting point of view. So now going back to my father-in-law's example. So I did a lot of interesting point of view that he has that point of view about me. Interesting point of view that he had that point of view, that whatever the story was, I did not give him money, I gave money to somebody else, or whatever kind of drama it was, that's his point of view. Interesting point of view, he has that point of view. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I literally did it like 100 times to kind of first of all let go of that energy in me. That was my self-healing kind of journey. Okay, now, so here is an example for you. If you would like, you can write it down. Interesting point of view. So now we are talking about my point of view. So let's say you have a point of view that you have fear of judgments. That's a point of view. I have a point of view that I'm fear of judgments. That itself is a point of view that creates your reality. So how do you clear that up? Interesting point of view. I have the point of view that I am fear of judgments. Everything that is and everything that brings up for me, I am now willing to destroy and uncreate it all by saying those words. You are destroying, you are releasing those energies out. And times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That's how the entire tool looks like. So anytime when somebody comes up in your reality, someone is on mute. All right. Okay, great. So where was I? Yes. So when someone comes in your reality and says, you are horrible, you go like, interesting point of view that he or she has that point of view. Interesting point of view, he or she has that point of view. Everything that brings up in me, I destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That's the first tool. Now, let's move on to the next tool here. The second tool was to live as the question and not as the answer. Okay, so this is another beautiful tool of all. And what does it mean by living as the answer? And what does it mean by living as the question? How do I live as question? Okay, so for that, let's say each 24 hours in a day, we as human beings, we have about 60,000 thoughts that are going in our brain each day. If I record these 60,000 thoughts and if I read it, so let's say my computer has the ability to read my thoughts and record it and kind of print it out. Now I can print it as PDF. And I sit and read all of those 60,000 thoughts. How many of those 60,000 thoughts would be questions? And how many of that would be statements. Statements, in other words, are kind of the answer that we are talking about. So let's forget about answer for a minute. Let's just say statement. So my thoughts looks like, I don't even know how many people are gonna show up for my, live today. What's that? What's that statement? That statement is, in access consciousness language, it's called a conclusion. That's my conclusion. If I am sitting and thinking, I don't know how many people are going to show up for my life today, that's a conclusion. I have already concluded it that people might not show up. So that's a conclusion. Now, how do I live as the question? What should I think instead? I wonder how many more people can actually sign up for my clients. I wonder what did it take for me to have 10 people show up for my life today? Now, what is that? That is a question. So now it's about me changing my thoughts from conclusions. When I have a conclusion that, I don't think anybody is going to come for my life today, that's a conclusion. I'm creating it because what? Because I'm the creator and I'm creating my life. I'm creating my reality every second of my life with my thoughts, with my words, with my feelings, with my emotions. If I have a thought, people are not going to come up, then that's what happens in my reality. Instead, when I live as the question, I get to allow the universe to give me the gifts. When I can ask the universe, what would it take for me to have 10 people show up for my life today? Now, universe can help me. Instead, if I sit and think, I don't know how many people are going to come to me. I don't even think anybody is going to choose this class. Now nobody, the universe, the beautiful, guides and angels around me, the entities around me cannot contribute. So now that's my explanation, my point of view about living as the question. You have an opportunity every single day to ask 60,000 questions with your beautiful brain and mind. So each day, how many questions are we asking versus how many conclusions, how many judgments, how many points of view that we have is actually acting against us. Okay, so what if instead of living as the answer, we lived in the question? A very simple tool in Access and a question I ask when I don't even know what question to ask is what else is possible. So that's one of the beautiful tools with Access Consciousness. What else is possible? I wonder what else is possible. What else is possible? That simple 4 words can create magic in your life if you choose to ask that to the universe, to yourself. I wonder what else is possible here. If I want, let's say, for example, more people to show up for my Facebook Live. So I get to ask, what else is possible? What other things can I do? What energy, space, consciousness? Okay, I'm not going into the complicated stuff here. I'll keep it simple. What else is possible? What maybe I can put more Facebook posts, I can talk to more people, I can go to grocery shop and kind of meet somebody there, whatever. I'm opening up, opening the doors and asking what else is possible. Okay, when you decide something can't be done, you solidify the possibilities and your fixed point of view becomes a finite, no choice, stuck in mud reality. So this is what I was talking about. When I have a point of view that nobody is going to come to my sessions, that solidify, I love that word solidify. It solidifies the possibilities and that becomes my reality. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, likes to say that to live as the question is the antidote to everything. It's the antidote to this reality. What would it take? What would it be like to ask a question and choose to be in the question. So, what did it take for us to start asking questions, more and more questions? Questions opens the door to possibilities. A question empowers you to create, whereas an answer is always about how to get it right and what you think it should be like. Coming up with the right answer eliminates the question from your reality and your life. What if every answer or conclusion you came up with was the way of stopping you from having awareness of anything else? So what if it's not even searching for answers? What if now we can live in question? And how do you use this tool to overcome your fear of judgments? So now let's relate it back to the topic of today. What questions can you ask would help you overcome your fear of judgments? Anything that you want to type in, you can type in the chat box. So, what kind of questions can you ask that would help you overcome your fear of judgments? I will give you some of the tips at the end of the session. And here is one of those questions that you can ask, which is, how does it get any better than that? Or how does it get any better than this? So when you do receive judgments, okay, here I am going to give you another example. So literally 30 minutes prior to the session, I got an email from one of the clients who signed up for $1,000 program with me about 3 to 4 months back. But he wanted to complete certain classes and then join my program later. But still, he paid me that $1,000, December month, I guess. And he was like, I'll join in April or March when I'm ready for it. Once he's done with it, I was like, okay, no problem. And today he emailed me and he said that somebody in his world, I think he has only attended maybe one, kind of a class that I had given. So he doesn't know much about me. Anyways, so he sent me this email stating that somebody in his world told him that something about me, something that my teachings, coachings are not good, or whatever else, judgments, right? So looks like he received it from somebody whom he trusts. And therefore, he sent me this email asking, Vishnu, could you please send me the refund? I was like, great, interesting point of view. He has that point of view, interesting point of view, that somebody else, whoever that was, he or she had that point of view about me. How does it get any better than this? And I immediately sent the refund, of course, because he hasn't, started the program, so it doesn't matter. So I did send him the refund. I was like, how does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? And I'm going to give you an additional kind of tool I used as well, which was, what's right about this that I'm not getting? What's right about this that I'm not getting? So the first tool I used was interesting point of view, that he has that point of view. Interesting point of view that she or he, whoever the other person was, had that point of view about me. How does it get any better than this? What's right about this that I'm not getting? So almost, I would say about 5 minutes, I was asking questions and questions and questions. And I could feel already that kind of energy move. And when I asked, what's right about this I'm not getting? Interestingly, whatever program kind of he joined, he was the only person who actually joined. I have moved along in the 3 months and I'm not even offering that program again. So I was already asking question, if he comes back, maybe I can offer him what I have now. But I was already feeling some kind of misalignment. So I was like, oh, that's nice that he withdrew himself, which is a beautiful, positive thing that has happened for me. I was like, how does it get any better than this? But unless I ask those questions, I wouldn't get an awareness of it. living as the question. When I ask thousands of questions about it, I get the awareness. I get, yes, that's good. That's right. That's amazing. Beautiful. So, what if? And now I'll give you another tip. Every judgment that you are willing to allow, that you are willing to receive, will make you $5,000 per year. And that's what the founder of Access Consciousness, Gary Douglas, says. So for me, it's like I'm just giving him whatever the $1,000 refund is, but just by my willingness to receive the judgments, I get to make $5,000 additional this year. How does it get any better than that? What's right about this, right? So, what if now you can receive all of those judgments with that kind of ease by using the tools that is being shared right here in this 30-minute presentation? Ready? Great. So yes, so Socrates asked, how do you kind of not go into the thinking of, our mind thinks and creates a huge picture of, oh, something is wrong, something is bad, this person is doing this, I want to prove him wrong, what he says is wrong, this is not who I am, he doesn't know, etc. That's usually how our mind pattern goes into. We want to prove that person is wrong when the judgment comes against us. How do you stop that? By choosing to live as the question. Tool number 2. When you ask questions, instead of allowing your mind to go into the judgment. So I'll share with you tool number 3, which is going to help you do exactly answer to that question. So how does it get any better than this? I'll quickly finish this off. In my interesting point of view, the author's interesting point of view, how does it get any better than this is a prayer and request to the universe to show me how, instead of telling the universe, instead of me telling the universe how. So I'm asking the universe, excuse me, how does it get any better than this? When I ask it, universe gets to reply me, universe gets to show me the how. I don't have to figure out the how. It's the same as telling God how to do his job. God, if you could only make me rich, then I could do so much good in the world. So these are the ways you should go about that. So it's a beautiful comedy here, which is basically, instead of we telling the universe what we need, how about we giving the choice to the universe to show us how? When I live in the question of how does it get any better than that, the infinite, all knowing universe begins to show me all the infinite possibilities. So that's what happens behind the scenes when you choose to ask questions. Okay, tool number 3 is no judgment, no discrimination, no discernment. That's tool number 3, and this is what would blow up, everything. So we are kind of closing it down. So now, no judgments, no discrimination, no discernment. Let's see what this is. Gary Douglas, again the founder of Access Consciousness, explains it in this way. Doing judgment is like convicting yourself of a life sentence. No judgment meaning, okay, I'll first of all give you the explanation to this. When this client sent me this email, if I have a point of view that he is wrong, what he is saying is wrong, then I might go into the negative emotions of usual stuff. Now, he has a judgment about me, and I have a judgment about him that he is wrong, that he is bad, whatever. Now, is it me fearing his judgment, or is it me having judgment about him? Who is judging here? Both. Two-way transaction is happening. He has a judgment about me. I have a judgment about him, by the way. I have a judgment about him. that he is wrong. What he's saying is wrong. He is bad. He did not talk to me. He doesn't, I can prove him wrong. I'm the person having a judgment about him. What if? What if that the kind of problem or the challenge that you're trying to overcome, which is you want to overcome your fear of judgments, what if you don't have fear of judgments? Instead, what you actually have is judgments about others who are judging you. I repeat, what if you don't even have fear of judgments? What you actually have is judgments about others who are judging you. When your friend, your family member, your colleague tells you, oh, your healing stuff is such a horrible thing, or they have a judgment about you, you know it. But do you know the judgments that you have about that person? You have a judgment about that person, that that person is wrong. He or she, now I go back to my father-in-law's example. Aha, yes, my father-in-law had a judgment about me that I'm the worst person in the world. But what was the judgment that I had about my father-in-law? I had a judgment about him that he is wrong. He is wrong. He is wrong. What he said about me is wrong. Now, who is judging? I am judging him. I cannot allow that judgment of him because I have a judgment about him. How can I be? So now the solution is me being in allowance of their judgments. How do I be in allowance of their judgments? When I have no judgments about any of them, I have no judgments about him, about them, that's when I can be in allowance of their judgments. So, what do I now do with my father in law situation? Okay, so here comes one additional tool I want to gift you today, which is no point of view. No point of view. When I have no point of view about him, yes, my father-in-law says that, I'm the worst person, but I have no point of view about him, meaning he's not right, he's not wrong, he's not good, he's not bad. I have no point of view about him. He says so. He says that I'm bad. He says that I'm wrong. That's his point of view. I have no point of view about him. Now comes the allowance. Now I get to choose to be in allowance to receive that judgment, not resist to it. I'm not resisting. I am not agreeing. Those two corners, right? I would resist it or I would allow it. Not in those two sections. Instead, I be in the center balanced position of no point of view. That center point is the allowance point. I get to be in allowance when I have no judgments about him. So now, do you have fear of judgments? Is it your fear of judgments or is it your judgments that you are feared of? Do you have fear of others' judgments or is it your judgments that you are feared of? So, what's the solution? Okay, so the solution that I would like to propose to you is have no point of view about those people. You know exactly those people who judge you, right? If I ask you, okay, who in your world is judging you, you would say exactly the names of those people whom you're totally feared about because of their judgments. So that group of people, can you have no judgments about them? Can you have no point of view about them, whatever they say? Okay, so now quickly reading out this slide here. Doing judgment is like convicting yourself of a life sentence and the effects of that judgment for the eternity of your life and others you may interact with as well. It's like a bad infection. The judgments that we have about ourselves and about others is a bad infection. In other words, if you worry about how people judge you or you decide you don't like to be judged, you will be stuck in a life sentence of the effects. How is it affecting you? Your judgments are affecting you to the extreme that you are not even able to give your gifts and abilities and talents and skills that you have out into the world. As I said, 6 months back, that's where I was. And today I get to share my gifts and people who are watching me. There are thousands of people who are watching me. 900 of those people would say, she is bad, she is worst, her teachings are whatever else. If I have no point of view about it, I get to gift this 100 people who are ready to receive my gifts when I don't care about other 900 people who might not like what I said, what I'm teaching. I be in no point of view of them. I be of no judgment about them. Okay, so moving on. Look at our current leaders in the White House. Our president is the king of judgment, and yet he won't tolerate being judged. Every judgment eliminates the capacity and awareness to perceive anything that does not match it. As soon as you buy a judgment as real, you come to a conclusion about it. In that space, how could one possibly see that there really could be another choice available? Okay, so she actually has a beautiful example. I would love to, quickly read through that, and we will end up this quick presentation here. If you have no judgment, no discrimination, no discernment, you give yourself the space to choose something different. So now we were talking about judgment. What about discrimination and discernment? So once again, it's my discrimination. When I discriminate, the person, oh, this is a beautiful example. Let's say one person comes in and says that I look, somebody says, Vishnu, you look beautiful today. And another person comes in and says, Vishnu, you look so ugly today. What happened to you? Two situations, both of them I'm saying, two people have two different judgments. Judgments are not just negative. When somebody comes and tells me that I look beautiful, that again is a judgment. Both are judgments. So now I have a judgment. I have a judgment that this person is right and this person is wrong. How can somebody come to me and tell me that I look ugly? He is wrong. And I have a judgment that this person is right. This person told me that I'm beautiful. I have a judgment that this person is right, this person is wrong. This person is good, this person is bad. This is what doesn't allow me to receive this judgment. I'm ready to receive this judgment that I'm good, that I'm beautiful, but I'm not ready to receive this side. How do I be now? How do I maintain the balance between the both? Once again, it's the no judgment. When I choose to have no judgment about both these people, right? Neither of them are right or wrong or good or bad. Then I get to receive both. Okay, so here is a beautiful example. I love this example. Very much like my example. So here it is. Rudrani says, I got an email from one of my clients who criticized the way I conducted myself while teaching one of my classes. The entire 200-word essay was a criticism of how I did things, and criticism is another form of judgment. By the way, criticism is also a judgment. Most people see their judgments as just their points of view. My awareness was that she had very interesting points of view about the way I teach. My point of view is that I am not going to sugarcoat and go down the rabbit hole with my clients, not on my watch. I make that clear with my clients in the beginning. That said, I am not for everyone. And I feel this is exactly what I get to implement in my life today. I'm like, how does it get any better than this? This happens with me all the time. When I have a presentation, when I'm teaching a tool to somebody else, something happens in my reality where I get to use that tool myself. I have no clue how that happens in my reality. Anyways, I am not for everyone. I am not for everyone. Yes, 100 people this side might love me, might accept me, might like my teachings. I'm willing to give my gifts to them. And 900 people this side might not be willing to receive me. I'm okay with that. I am not for everyone. Does it stick me? No, it doesn't matter how much someone might try to impel me with their interesting points of view and the rightness of them, especially when it is directed at me. How freeing. So it doesn't matter how much someone would try to impel me with their interesting point of view. It's their interesting point of view. I don't care about it. Judge me all you want. I am aware that it's simply your point of view. Not right, not wrong, not good, not bad. When you discriminate and discern, so that's where the discrimination and discernment comes from. The discrimination that I have is this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, this person is good, this person is bad, this person is right, this person is wrong. That's my discrimination, that's my discernment. When I do have that discrimination and discernment, I put myself into trouble. So, when you discriminate and discern which judgments are right or wrong or good or bad, which ones you can receive and which ones you cannot, you lock yourself out of any joy that you could be choosing. Would you rather be stuck in the rightness of your point of view, or would you rather have the lightness of pure awareness that includes everything and excludes nothing, including judgment? It's just a choice, my beautiful friends. Will you choose it? So, going back, no judgments, no discernment, no discrimination. All right, so that's the end of the beautiful story here. Right and wrong, good and bad. So, everything. So, I'll do a quick clearing for all of you. Everything that brought up, everything that you learned today, and all the points of view that now you are ready to release, all the judgments and everything else that you're ready to release right now. Can you please let that go? I'll quickly do the access consciousness clearing. So everything in you that you are ready to release as a result of this presentation, let's destroy and uncreate it all. So you just have to say yes to receive that. Right and wrong, good and bad, good and bad, poor and poor, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, what would it take for all of you to be in allowance? What would it take for all of you to have no judgments about the people who are judging you? Anything that doesn't allow you to be that allowance, let's destroy and uncreate all of that times a gazillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, poor, poor, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Great. So, tomorrow, as I said, there is the 3-hour class of this particular presentation, which consists of 10 tools instead of just the 3 tools that I shared with you today. So I invite you all if you would like. So the link is, if any of you are interested, I know all of you are on my Facebook. So you can kind of send me a message if you're interested. I'll give you the link to sign up. It is just $55. I'll give you one more tip. So I do free classes and I do paid classes. What's the difference? Well, what I have observed is people who actually come to free classes, they love the content. They say, Vishnu, this was amazing. But they don't implement the tools. And when I ask them 1 week later, did you get to use those tools? Did you get to read that PDF I sent you there? Oh, I was busy, Vishnu. I didn't get a chance to read it. I didn't get the chance to look at it. Versus when somebody pays for it, the difference that I observed was they actually, just because they made that payment, that 55, that 100, whatever the payment is, because of that, they actually choose to implement it in their lives. So can you prove me wrong? Please? Please prove me wrong by choosing to actually implement these tools in your life. That's my request. If not, of course, you can choose to come to my paid class tomorrow for 3 hours by choosing to pay that $55. And of course, it consists of even more tools that you can come and play with me. Great. So please do send me your feedback. I really love to read. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, please do put a comment below. I would love to hear you all. Thank you so much. I hope all of you liked it. And even on Zoom, you can put a comment. If I can ask you a question, what was the biggest takeaway for today? Was it Harish? I think you unmuted.
No.
Okay, good. All right, no problem.
We enjoyed your conversation.
Thank you, Harish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. So I'll see you all next time. If you have any questions, do message me. I'll see you. See you all. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming in. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.